The Canon R8 is a really good camera. With such low price point and the quality of images you can get with it at said price point, it is almost a no-brainer to get it. But if you don't know how to set up your camera, it doesn't matter how good of a camera it is, you're gonna not get good images. So today in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you how do you get a really good image out of your Canon R8. There's gonna be three sections. There's gonna be photo, video, and then both. So these tips will apply to one or the other, or they will apply to both of them. And we are going to start with the tips that apply to both. Lenses. You want to get a good set of lenses for your camera when you get it. So the kit lens is an okay lens, but it kind of limits you with your aperture. In my opinion, not good, especially if you're learning. You want to know what aperture to use for specific situations, for what you want to keep in focus, if you want to have a blurry background, if you want to not have a blurry background. You want a variety of apertures you can use in order to convey what you want to convey in your photo. So getting some lenses that have a good aperture and are quality lenses is a very important thing to do. Personally, I recommend getting a 50mm f1.8 because I really like having such a wide aperture, especially for low light photography, or if I just really want that blurry background. Do some research on what type of photography or cinematography you're going to be doing, and then go after a lens that fits that description. Next thing you're going to want to get with this camera is some extra batteries. So this doesn't necessarily apply to the camera quality and the pictures and everything you're going to be taking, but it allows you to take more pictures and more video. So since the battery life is not necessarily the best, you're going to want to be prepared and you're going to want some extra batteries. The next thing you want to do is get some lights. So if you're doing video and you're making short films, lighting is arguably the most important thing. It is arguably more important than the camera itself. So right now I have 3 lights going, and I don't think I can get as good of an image as I am right now without these 3 lights. And then tripods as well to go with the lights. So definitely invest in some good lights. Next is you're going to want to get some filters. So a ND filter and then like a circular polarizer filter. Basically what those do is if you're filming outside and you want a low aperture, then you're going to need an ND filter because it'll be too bright. If you're taking pictures of cars or things like with reflections and you want to get rid of the reflections, a circular polarizer is basically just gets rid of the reflections in whatever it is you're taking pictures of. Next is white balance. So you can have it set to auto white balance and your camera will try and do it itself, but a lot of times it does not get the white balance very well. And then also it's constantly changing the white balance as you film or take pictures. So in your video, the white balance is going to be going up and down and it's going to look kind of funky. I would recommend just picking a white balance for the scenario that you're in. And then if you really have to and it's like it doesn't look good, in post you can change a lot easier. Picture profiles. What you're going to want to do, it takes a little bit of extra work, but you want to set your picture profile on your video to a log profile. The shadows and then the highlights, and what it's going to do is compress all of it down into the middle. So you can have more flexibility in post and you can stretch it out and you can edit the colors a lot better if you were filming in log. It does take a little bit extra work whenever you're editing it because you're going to have to convert it from log to a regular picture profile before you actually edit it. But it's gonna look a lot better whenever you do edit it, and it's gonna be nice. And what I would recommend also when you're filming is to get a good microphone, because half of the video is audio. So you're gonna want to be able to get a good microphone that can get some crisp sounds. Getting a top handle. So you don't really, this isn't something you have to do if you get a camera and you're trying to film something, but getting some sort of handle for your camera, whether it be a gimbal or a top handle, it'll help you get smoother footage, and it'll also just be better to hold if you're going on long shoots. You just have a handle you hold on to instead of holding the camera like this and getting hand cramps and stuff. When you're taking photos and you have a Canon R8 specifically, there's no joystick to change the focus whenever you're looking through the viewfinder. So there's a setting on the camera where you're going to go and set the touchscreen to set the focus. So when you're looking through the viewfinder, you can touch the touchscreen, and wherever it is you're touching on there, it'll set the focus onto that thing. Next thing you're gonna wanna do is set your picture setting to RAW. So basically there's JPEG and then there's a RAW file. The JPEG is great if you don't plan on editing your photos. But if you do plan on editing your photos, you're gonna want the RAW file. But basically, the RAW file has all the information that it's capturing. The JPEG file has a picture profile that it just sort of slaps on top of the picture you took, and that's what it looks like. It's a lot less memory, but it's also all information for you to edit later down the line when you're putting it on your computer. So if you don't plan on editing your photos, then JPEG is perfectly fine, but if you do plan on editing your photos, you definitely want to set it to RAW. The next thing is the autofocus. So whenever you go and half press the button to focus onto your subject, if you're shooting a moving object like sports or an animal or someone doing something, you want to set your autofocus to servo mode, which basically what that means is when you have it half pressed, it's going to continuously look and focus onto whatever it is you're focusing on. So if you have it set to a person, it's following their eye and they're moving back and forth and they're like hitting a baseball or throwing a football, and you just have it down, you're shooting and everything, it's going to continuously reset autofocus for that subject, which is very useful for sports and moving things. Like if your dog outside was running around, you'd want to set it to that while you're taking pictures so he's in focus all the time. Keep in mind, it will drain the battery though, because it is working harder. And if you're shooting something that's just sitting still, then set it to a single shot, which will just, you hold it down and it'll focus, and then if you just keep it held down, it'll stay focused on that and it won't change at all, which is really good because it saves battery. So if you can shoot like that, I would recommend shooting with single shot. But if you're shooting moving stuff, you're gonna want it to be on servo mode. So you will definitely get the focus. Those are all the tips I have today on how to get the most out of your Canon R8. There's a few other tips that would definitely be useful that I just don't have time for today. So if you want more, a part 2, I will gladly go in and do a part 2. And these are just the most important, in my opinion, things you want to keep in mind. So I will see you guys in the next video right here, which is a short film that I made.